Ryan called me on a Tuesday night, 14 days after my birthday party, and said he needed to tell me something, that he had been carrying it and he could not carry it anymore, that he was sorry, that it had meant nothing. I listened to every word he said, and when he finished, I said, very quietly, "I know, Ryan. I have known since the night it happened, and I want you to know something too. I want you to know that by the time you made this phone call, his boss had already seen the photos. His mother had already read the messages. Every person at that party had already received a single screenshot in their group chat with no caption. And Sophie had already lost the job I helped her get 3 years ago." The silence on his end of that phone call was the best sound I have ever heard. He called to confess because he thought it gave him control of the story. There was no story left for him to control. Let me tell you everything from the beginning, because this story starts on the happiest night of my year and becomes something I am genuinely proud of. Ryan and I had been together for 3 years. 3 years of the kind of relationship that looks good from every angle. The photos were always great. The family dinners were always warm. The arguments were always resolved. He was charming and attentive, and everyone who met him said the same thing. "You are so lucky, Emma." I believed them. I genuinely did. Sophie had been my best friend since we were 15 years old. 11 years. She was the person I called first for everything. Good news, bad news, the ordinary Tuesday things that only matter to the person you trust most. She was my maid of honor before there was even a wedding to plan for. She was that certain. Ryan and Sophie had always gotten along well. Friendly, easy, the comfortable warmth of two people who share someone they both love. I had never once thought about them together. The thought genuinely had not formed in my mind. That is the particular cruelty of what they did. They took something I had never thought to protect, because you do not build walls around things you trust completely, and they walked straight through it. My 24th birthday party was on a Saturday in September. Rooftop venue, fairy lights, about 40 people who mattered to me. I had planned it for 2 months. Sophie had helped me plan every detail. Sophie had helped me plan the party at which she slept with my boyfriend. I did not know that on the night. I danced and laughed and blew out candles and took photos with everyone I loved and went home feeling like my life was exactly as good as it looked. I found out 4 days later. The venue had a private terrace, separate from the main rooftop, accessible through a door behind the bar, that most guests would not have noticed. I had seen it when we did the walkthrough, but it was not part of the party area, so I had not thought about it. My friend Lily had stepped out to that terrace for some air around 11:30. She came back inside within 2 minutes. She did not say anything to me that night. She called me on Wednesday morning. She was crying before I even said hello. She told me what she had seen on that terrace. Ryan, Sophie, together, in a way that left absolutely no room for misinterpretation. At my own birthday party, while I was 40 feet away on the dance floor with people I loved, while my birthday playlist was still playing. I listened to everything Lily told me. I asked her one question. Had she told anyone else? She said no. I told her I loved her and I would call her back. I put the phone down. I sat on my kitchen floor for approximately 20 minutes. And then I stood up. I made coffee. I opened my laptop. Because I had already decided that I was not going to react. I was not going to confront. I was not going to cry to either of them or give either of them the satisfaction of knowing how completely they had broken something. I was going to think, and then I was going to act. I gave myself exactly 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I was the best girlfriend Ryan had ever had. I cooked dinner. I laughed at his jokes. I answered every text within minutes. I went to his friend's football game on a cold Sunday afternoon and stood on the sideline cheering with his mother like everything in my life was exactly as it appeared. His mother, who did not yet know what her son had done on a rooftop at his girlfriend's birthday party. I was also, very quietly, very carefully, doing other things. The venue had security cameras covering the terrace. I contacted them as the event organizer. My name was on the booking. And I told them I had a concern about something that may have occurred during my private event and requested the footage. They sent it within 48 hours. The footage was clear. I also went through 2 years of messages on Ryan's phone. He had a habit of leaving it face down on the coffee table when he came to mine, a habit I had never questioned before Wednesday morning. I went through everything while he slept. What I found was not a one-night lapse. It was 4 months of messages between Ryan and Sophie, 4 months of planning, 4 months of lying, 4 months of both of them sitting across from me at dinners and smiling and passing the bread and asking me how my day was, while this existed on the phone in Ryan's pocket. I screenshot everything. I saved the footage. I made 3 copies of all of it on separate devices. Then I made a list. The list had 7 names on it. Here is what was on my list and what I did with each name on it. Name 1. Ryan's mother, Carol. Carol had always loved me. She had told me privately 3 months earlier that she hoped Ryan would propose soon. I sent Carol a single message. No anger, no drama. I told her what had happened and I attached 2 screenshots. I told her she deserved to know the kind of man her son had become, and that I was telling her because I respected her too much not to. Carol replied within an hour. She used language I will not repeat. It was not directed at me. Name 2. Ryan's boss, Daniel. Ryan worked at a marketing agency. Daniel had been at my birthday party, invited by Ryan, seated at our table, who had spent the evening shaking Ryan's hand and telling him he was one of the best hires the company had made. I sent Daniel the security footage from the terrace. I did not add any commentary. I just sent it with the subject line, taken from the venue's security system during my private event on September 14th. Daniel was a married man who had spoken at length that evening about his own marriage and his values. He did not reply to me, but Ryan came home from work 3 days later, looking like someone had removed something essential from him. Name 3 through 6, the shared friend group. 40 people had been at that party. 31 of them were in a group chat called Emma's Birthday that Sophie herself had created. I sent a single screenshot, the most specific message from the 4-month conversation, to that group chat at 7:15 on a Monday morning. No caption, no explanation. I then left the group chat. Name 7, Sophie's workplace. 3 years earlier, I had referred Sophie for a position at a company where I had a contact. She had gotten the job. She had been there since. I sent my contact a professional note explaining that I had become aware of conduct from Sophie that I felt was relevant to her professional character. I attached the messages. I sent the last message on the list on a Tuesday morning. Ryan called me that same Tuesday night to confess. He called at 9:47 p.m. I was in bed reading. I let it ring twice before I answered. He said he needed to tell me something, that he had been carrying it for 2 weeks, that he was sorry, that it had been a mistake, that Sophie had meant nothing, that he loved me and he needed me to know the truth from him before I heard it from someone else. I let him finish completely, every word, every sorry, it meant nothing. Then I said, Ryan, I have known since the night it happened. Lily saw you both on the terrace. Silence. I continued, I have had the venue's security footage since Thursday. I have had your messages since Friday, all 4 months of them. Carol has known since Saturday. Daniel has had the footage since Monday. The group chat received a screenshot yesterday morning, and Sophie's HR department received a professional note from me this morning. More silence. He said, "Emma." I said, "I am not angry, Ryan. I want you to know that. I'm not calling from a place of anger. I'm calling to tell you that your confession is about 2 weeks too late and about 7 phone calls too few. Everything you came to tell me has already been told to everyone who needed to know it. There is nothing left for you to manage here. Take care of yourself. Don't contact me again." I hung up. I put the phone face down on my nightstand. I went back to my book. That was the most satisfying page turn of my entire life. Ryan was put on a performance improvement plan at work 3 days after Daniel saw the footage. He did not lose his job. I had not sent the footage to cause that. I had sent it because Daniel deserved to know who he was mentoring. But something had clearly shifted in how Ryan was perceived, professionally. And professionally is where Ryan cared most about being perceived. Carol did not speak to Ryan for 6 weeks. When they eventually reconciled, it was on terms she set, which included a direct apology to me that Ryan delivered by voicemail, because I had blocked his number and he had no other way to reach me. I did not listen to the voicemail. I deleted it. The group chat did not recover. Some friendships dissolved entirely. People who had been close to both Ryan and me, and who had apparently seen enough in those 4 months of messages to make a choice about where their loyalty belonged. Most of them chose correctly. Sophie lost her job. Her employer cited conduct unbecoming of a team member. She called me from a number I did not recognize 3 weeks later. I answered because I did not know it was her. She said, "Emma, I need you to know I am sorry. I know that does not fix anything. I just needed you to hear it." I said, "Sophie, I heard you. I also want you to know that the 11 years we had were real to me, every single year of them. And that is exactly why what you did cost you everything it did. You did not betray a stranger. You betrayed someone who would have done anything for you." I hung up. I have not spoken to either of them since. I do not intend to. People ask me if I feel guilty about the job, about Carol, about the group chat. No. I want to be very specific about why. I did not send that footage to Daniel because I wanted Ryan fired. I sent it because Ryan had stood in that man's office and accepted praise and mentorship, while being the kind of person Daniel would never have praised if he had known. Daniel deserved accurate information about who he was investing in. I gave it to him. I did not contact Sophie's employer out of spite. I did it because Sophie had been hired partly on the basis of my reference, my word, my professional reputation, and the person I had described in that reference was not the person who spent 4 months planning to betray me. That employer deserved accurate information too. I did not perform grief for 2 people who had not given my feelings a single moment of consideration for 4 months while they were making their choices. What I did was remove myself from a situation designed by 2 people who counted on my trust to protect them from consequences. I simply stopped protecting them. Here's the thing about people who cheat and people who help them cheat. They always believe the person they are betraying is not paying attention. They rely on your love and your trust as a form of blindness. Pay attention, trust your instincts, document everything. And when someone hands you a confession 2 weeks too late, make sure they already know you did not need it. If this story gave you something, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you would have done differently. Tell me if you have been Sophie or Ryan or Emma in your own life. And if you are new here, subscribe. Because every week this channel brings you a story about people who were underestimated. Emma was underestimated. She made sure that never happened twice.